when you're not there with the person that's talking about the religious, I guess, transformative religious experiences that they're going through, right? It's difficult to really be there, because to me, you're speaking about Jesus, you're speaking about all these things, and because I can't relate to that level of love or the level of that connection that you have with him, it sounds like it doesn't make sense. That's why I want to bring it. That's why I want to also bring it back to the lessons and the stories that you're learning, because I think we can relate through the stories. We want to relate to your understanding of Jesus' love, and this is how you find peace within yourself by finding that. Because I think that story's been told to so many people all the time, but it doesn't get through to them. Yeah. So I want to get to stories which will get through to them and make this time for everyone valuable. So talk to me about like some of the stories. It's like like for example when we were like a couple of years younger, I remember Peterson had this lecture where he kind of went through Genesis, and he went through Genesis, but he talked about it as if he was a psychologist, as if it was like, this is how the people back then putting these stories together, this is how they would have thought. And it wasn't, let me tell you about Jesus walking on water and how true that is, like like in physical reality, but like what the metaphor stands for, and what that metaphor means for people. And I think that's one more interesting to look at it from a perspective of, these are human beings who wrote these stories down, whether they saw it in themselves or what they thought about themselves, but it meant something to them, was valuable to them in some way. So talk to me about that. Talk to me about some of the stories that you've kind of encountered, maybe some you've seen from that show that you've been watching, about things that Jesus did or things that people have done in the Bible that you think, taken out of the religious context, can still apply to people on a psychological level, on a human level, about how to live life in our modern day and age.
I think mostly it's about being present and following something better, and looking in your own life and in others' lives what's actually important,
I'm going to give an example as you go along.
Yeah, because his followers were of a very different breed, right? Complexity. You had one taxman, you had a fisherman, you had people who made wine, you had his mother was involved, his siblings, cousins, you had Roman centurions, you had a wide array of people, right? And naturally you're going to get a wide array of testaments and statements and witnesses, but he would tell them very uncomfortable truths that he tried to make as simple as he could for us, and he did it in person. And despite his own followers, which were there with him, who saw what they saw, went through what they went through, saw all these miracles, even they themselves were divided, right? And they struggled with their faith, and they struggled with the future. And yet he told them constantly, just follow me. Like, why have so little faith? Just keep following me, watch and learn.
So how can that relate to us today?
Well, it can relate to us today because it puts everyone on a sort of level playing field. Like, no, you don't get to do this to me or with me. No, I don't have to. You're not going to muzzle my words, because I need to tell you the truth. If there's someone in your life that knows the truth about a particular thing, or in reference to you, you cannot be so proud or committing any one of the deadly sins that you don't want to listen to this person, right? You strike them down before they get the truth out of their lips. So it's that message of, I'm going to divide you, I'm going to starve you in a way, but I'm going to feed you too, and I'm going to bring you closer together, because I'm going to tell you uncomfortable truths. All you need to do is hear my voice and try and follow me and be like me. We have a very tough time of imagining what the best possible version is of ourselves, right? And a lot is influenced by your childhood, your parents, like the psychology, and there's some complexes you grow up with, and then you don't even know why it ails your life, why it ails your relationships, But then you have this person who knows what you're going through, knows what you want to ask before you ask it, and yet gives you everything you need, right? And but that's where it becomes very important. Like, if I'm divided about things and you're divided about things, but you're in a position where you need me to be better, to be a better Christian or a better religious person, or even a better atheist, what have you, because you need something from me, and I go, you know what, I can help this person, but I won't because of my pride. That's where we have a real problem, right? Because then we start reverting back to times before he came, where we were given the law, we didn't fulfill it, and we were constantly getting drowned, constantly getting killed, given chances after chances after chances, and we wouldn't let it go. We wouldn't let it go. It's no simple thing to just say, you know what, I don't know everything, I won't know everything, and that's enough.
So to you,
we just refuse to do that.
No, hold on. So keep hold of the mic. To you, what does being Christ-like mean?
Okay. It's very difficult. Well, picking up your cross, right, and I guess in a psychological sense, the most you can possibly bear, that makes you feel like you're not wasting your time. You still have doubt, but you find yourself having meaning and taking up as much responsibility as you can for the people you grew up with, the people you will grow up with, the wife and the family you grew up with. Keeping your word, right? So yes means yes, no means no. It's all things, we know and then we dismiss because, yes, the preaching is terrible. This is why I don't like it probably more than you, because when I walk past parts and busy centers and there's someone yapping about Christ or yapping about Muhammad or this person, they're just shouting things that they were shouting last week and last week and last week. If you were to listen to Christ, the crowd would be silent, right? Because he has this authority. He's actually speaking the truth. And yet these people you find just repeat the same thing. You can't bring in the gullible. Like, lost sheep, good, but you can't bring in the ignorant. You can't bring in the gullible, the people that are just joining because they're lonely, and then you tell yourself, yes, I've brought someone to you, Christ. No, it's like, put away your pride. Is this actually a good thing that this person has joined, for honest reasons, or do you need to put some things to the side and then actually get to know this person and bring him closer to Christ, as opposed to you taking him to Christ with you to sort of say, hey God, look what I did for you. Because we know that God tells us, hey, it doesn't matter what you did, I'm not going to reward you because of that. There were things that you overlooked, there were things you didn't think were important, right? And I think being Christ-like is about focusing on what's important. If you're going to do a work, ask yourself, why am I doing this? Who am I doing it for? And who does it benefit? How can I do it better? How can I complain less? And also, how can I help the people I work with and work for in times of need? There's 1,000 questions, but if you ask yourself, in humility, under the roof of, okay, what's important, you find yourself, struggling less with OCD, struggling less with doubt and anxiety, because you repent, you find what you're grateful for, and then you focus on what's important. And what's important is always in the present, right? The future, the past, the important don't exist in those realms. The only important thing is now, telling the truth now, acting now, listening actively, right? So when someone's talking, you're actually listening, you're not thinking about the end of their sentence or what they said 5 minutes ago. It's being present in the now, being Christ-like in the now, because then you realize I've only been afforded this because of someone's sacrifice. and that makes you really open up, and you find yourself not feeding your physical human needs but your spiritual needs. And your spirit, I think all of us can agree, if we agree on the spirit, that it probably lives forever, because it has that kind of power and that kind of magic.
100% agree. I think a large part of what you're saying I completely agree with, and I think that's kind of why I wanted to talk about this, because I feel like, yes, it's important to, I don't want to just go back and forth and regurgitate the same things, but I want to actually inspect the ideas that I do agree with also. You know, you can also disagree with stuff you disagree with, but I think inspecting the ideas you do agree with and just refining it better and better is a mark of someone who's actually thinking, is actually aware. And I think that's so important for religious people, because there is a world where we lose out of touch of our religious beliefs because we try to play the game of, like you were saying, looking good instead of actually doing good. Everyone just wants to look good, and that's a very, very easy thing, because with people, you talk about psychology. People's psychology is to appear good. They want to be good in other people's eyes. That's just how we are as human beings. That, you know, that's a psychological fact. Then you put that with religion, where it's like, oh, I can just be good by just regurgitating these words, and then no one actually knows if I'm actually doing good. That's also dangerous, which is why I've always been skeptical. But I think it's important for people like yourself who actually believe in these topics, who've actually thought about these topics. I've seen you think about this for years, actually come to a conclusion and be like, you know what, this is what I think. And on that topic, actually, one thing I wanted to ask you was about what do you think is the relationship between faith and reason? You know, in this day and age, I think most people lack faith because of their reason. They can't reason out all the stuff that we've been taught, or the stuff in the Bible, or the ideas, or the stories, or the myths. They can't really reason that out, and then they struggle with that for a long time. So has that been your experience? And also, what do you think is the relationship between faith and reason in our modern era?